Hi, today we're going to talk a little bit about the easiest way to give yourself or a peer a voice lesson, sometimes called a PVI or personal vocal instruction. Now this is designed for self-improvement or peer-to-peer feedback. It should not be considered a substitute for professional instruction, but it should put you in a position to give important basic feedback. Now, it also should be noted that if you're experiencing pain or chronic hoarseness or any other vocal concerns, that it's really important that you consult with a professional vocal coach, an ENT, or a speech-language pathologist. All of that said, let's begin with 3 basics to always check. If you don't provide a solid foundation, it's hard to explore higher level things. These aspects would be alignment, the relationship between tension, relaxation, and energy, and breathing. Now, there are some great shortcuts to checking for good alignment. One of those that you may have heard before that I would recommend is to first check in to make sure your feet are comfortably about hip width apart and that you can easily balance and shift your weight. We don't want to be too far forward on our toes or too far back on our heels. We want to make sure that we feel balanced, the knees are soft, and that nothing is locked. Then, roughly for good alignment, we want to make sure that the hips are over the ankles, that the shoulders are over the hips, and that the ears more or less go right over the middle of the shoulders. Let's talk about that last one a bit. As we go through life, we spend a lot of time pulling forward on the computer, driving, on our phones, so we need to consciously open up. Our goals here are to have open and free breath flow, as well as putting our frame in a place where our muscles can do the work naturally. We want our skeleton to be supporting us, so again, our muscles can be freed up to focus on vocal efficiency. You might try lying flat on the floor with your knees bent to find your ideal head alignment, or maybe standing up against a wall. Now that last one might be a little extreme for head placement, but it tells us that most of us stand with our heads too far forward. Sometimes we can think of having a long back of the neck and a short front of the neck. We don't want to take this to an extreme though. A mirror or a cell phone camera is a big help. Don't skip these steps. They might feel basic, or it might feel like a lot of steps to go through, but it is vital. Now, as part of our instrument position and a bridge into the next section, we want to make sure that our face is naturally energized and lifted, like you're feeling generally pleased, with maybe a slight sense of anticipation. Moving into the category of checking for tension, starting from the ground up, look for any places that are holding excess tension. By moving slightly or having a floating feeling of release as we push up and away from the ground will help ensure that we don't hold tension anywhere. If we're too still, things will lock up. Also, be aware of any movement that is adding tension or is too big or distracting. We want to make sure that our face is alive and lifted, our jaw is relaxed, our tongue is relaxed and out of the way, that our mouth is naturally engaged, not too wide, not too tense, not too narrow, not too relaxed. It's all in the middle. Next, let's check our breathing. We want to sense the most movement around the middle of our body, our lower ribs, belly, our back. If we see that the chest or shoulders are heaving, lifting, or adding tension, or just moving too much, we want to refocus that energy lower. The abdomen or back, the sides should expand on the inhale and come in on the exhale. This is a good place to remind you that loose-waisted clothing is probably the best choice for singing. I know it sounds basic, but if you simply work on these 3 categories while you're singing, that would be alignment, tension and relaxation, and breath, you will improve dramatically. I'd recommend just doing these 3 things at first when you're coaching yourself or a peer, and notice how much you improve. That said, I will walk you through some additional steps. Now, after you've checked alignment, breath, and tension, it's time to sing something that is simple and right in the middle of a comfortable place in your range. Maybe something like 5 vowels on one note, like mi, me, my, mo, moo. Try it, pick any note. Now, if your breath mechanics were good, did you use enough air? Try again and adjust your airflow, maybe with a little bit more breath, maybe with a little bit more control of the breath. You shouldn't feel like you're hyperventilating or adding undue tension. Just try it with a little more, a little less, see how it sounds. Make a mental note of what worked, what sounded best, and go with that. Give it a shot. Little more air. Mi, me, my, mo, moo. Was that better for you? Next up, double check for lift. Make sure that the face is alive and engaged, but not scrunched up. A mildly amused face should do, maybe with a little bit of pleasant surprise. Also, you can yawn and check for a lifted soft palate. An expanded throat. If it gets all the way to Julia Child, you may have gone too far. Now sing the 5 notes again with that lifted expansion, also calling on the air that we just used. Mi, me, my, mo, moo. Did it improve? Now we need to go back and check for tension again. We've conquered a few things, we've brought some good breath in, but maybe something tensed up as we were thinking about that. Usually you fix some things and a wheel falls off. So let's go back and regain a nice sense of relaxation. Now, some ways you can transition from really thinking about relaxation into singing include just a little bit of movement, or something like singing on a lip trill or a bubble, and transition that into a vowel, like and I can make sure that I haven't held tension through that. Check the jaw, check the tongue, check the neck. Now with that, let's sing those 5 notes again. Mi, me, my, mo, moo. So how many of the things that we're working on are we able to retain with just those 5 notes? We're really trying to take out some variables and add some good habits into what we're doing. I know it might seem kind of basic, but that's the whole idea. These are the techniques that are going to help us through every other vocal technique. Okay, now let's play a little game of one of these things is not like the other. As you listen to yourself sing through these 5 vowels, listen for any word that kind of pops out of alignment or doesn't sound like the other vowels. For example, if we did mi, me, my, mo, moo, we might have noticed that the E was kind of tight, me, so we need to go back in our list. Check alignment, check tension, check air. How much of this can we fix? Me, me. I added some of that space in the back of my throat and lift as well. Me, me. Check what your face is doing as well. We want to be enhancing the sound, not making it harder on ourselves. Remember that you are an expert listener. You can tell when something needs to be fixed. You can take all of the above techniques and just apply them to any piece of music that you're working on. Work in small sections, just a few notes at a time. Make adjustments from the list that we've talked about. Then try again. If you can record yourself, then you'll have some immediate feedback. Sing, adjust, assess, adjust, sing again. Don't forget to stop and appreciate every time you do something well, every time something improves. Give yourself some positive feedback as you go. I hope you'll let me know what's working for you, and feel free to get in touch with me if you'd like to schedule an online lesson to make sure you're on the right track. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.